What's up, everybody? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, March 12th, 2019. I hope you're having an amazing week so far, Tuesday today. Want to talk about Bitcoin and some Litecoin price. What is going on with price? I'm going to just throw this out there for everybody watching this, even the replay viewers. I'm just going to jump into this. So I'm like a hawk right now. I'm like a hawk. I'm sitting at the top of a tree and I'm just waiting. I'm watching, I'm waiting. And this is my approach to technical analysis, especially when we are at times like this. Times like this. And what are times like this? Times like this are very unknown times, but technically really solid in clues. So you zoom out on the charts. I have a zoomed out chart here. So when I say I'm a hawk, I'm waiting. I'm most certainly waiting for retracements. If Bitcoin doesn't retrace, right? If we don't revisit any type of lows, I'm happy with my portfolio right now. But what's important to me is to be ready for Bitcoin to go down. So I know there are so many bullish YouTube videos and that's cool. It's definitely fun to be bullish. It's definitely fun to think about the upside, but I just want to be prepared for the downside. Especially if you look at the charts technically, even if we have months, where we're kind of trading within a bottom channel, there are going to be opportunities for accumulation if that's something you're interested in. And if it's something you're interested in, make your own decisions. I spelled Bitcoin wrong. Let's fix that. Make your own decisions in accumulation if that's what you're interested in. Do your own research. Study the charts a little bit. Look at the charts. Gather data from YouTubers, but don't listen to YouTubers. Don't listen to what they're saying. I just want to throw that out there. So I definitely want to just talk about Bitcoin in terms of some patterns, some indicators that I see right now. So let's jump into the video and let's talk about this. So when I'm looking at Bitcoin and I'm zoomed out on the charts right now, and I don't know why I don't have any sound, but Tech Lords, I just saw, I appreciate that. Tech Lords, thank you for the 1014, the 0.0026 BTC. It looks like it's working today. So thank you, Tech Lords. If you're new here, Super Chats, all Super Chats from here on out go to our LAUNCHPAD Foundation, where we're helping different projects in regards to inner city youth, different ministries. So want to throw that out there. So Bitcoin zoomed out on the charts. Let's look at some indicators. Let's look at those clues, right? If we are going to sit here like hawks and try and anticipate what's going to happen next, let's look at what's going on. So Bitcoin on the weekly charts. First, I just want to point out something to you, which is if you kind of zoom in where we are and we can stay on the weekly, we have like a couple of really clear things going on. I want you to really remember this descending triangle that extended from like April to like November. Right above $6,000, our support area. Everybody's kind of talking about it as support, crucial support for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin broke below that descending triangle. So we fell into kind of a new bottom range. We're trying to decipher, we're trying to evaluate where the bottom is, and now we are here. And now what's interesting is right now, at least, it's not as large as the descending triangle, but from this swing low back here in December, to kind of where we are now, we have the opposite of a descending triangle. We have an ascending triangle, right? Kind of forming right now. And I think it's interesting to watch that happen because we fell out of a bearish pattern into like a really big drop for Bitcoin. And to give you context of that drop, we're talking like 50% drop in Bitcoin, $6,000 to like $3,000. It was a big drop. And we fell into now a bullish ascending triangle. And right now we're kind of like in the middle. If I zoom in on this weekly chart, we're in the middle of the triangle, right? So we're in this very like critical area of unknown, and I think a lot of people are trying to guess what's going to happen, and it's literally, from my observation, like a 50-50 split in terms of people that are bullish versus people that are bearish. So I'm not sitting here trying to predict what's going to happen. I don't think that's what anybody should be doing. I think it can get you in trouble if you're the 50% that are guessing wrong, right? But we have some clues into what to anticipate. So we're in the middle of this ascending triangle, and I want to talk about this area back here, this descending triangle, and I want to talk about when we broke through it, right? And it really was like kind of that first week into the second to the third. It was pretty much like all of November, kind of, where we kind of just started losing that $6,000 support, and we broke through the bottom of that descending triangle. What I want to point out to you, if you go to the BTC USD short chart, you see when this happened, right? Here's the first week of November, and then here's November, right? Second week, third week, fourth week. What's going on here? As Bitcoin is breaking through the descending triangle to the downside, shorts are piling in, and you can see it happening, right? That's what was happening when basically we were falling through $6,000, obviously. Now, what was happening with the longs at that time? Well, the longs, if you look at the BTC USD long chart, kind of, in that time frame, just kind of sideways. Nothing crazy happening. So that's what the charts look like looking back in history. That's the data. That's what it shows when you're looking at the short, the long charts in context to this break on the downside of this descending triangle, right? So I think we can kind of start taking that data and applying it to this ascending triangle that we're now in, and we can kind of say, okay, well, what can we look for in terms of shorts and in terms of longs? Like what are they actually doing right now, right? So right now, shorts are kind of in the last 3 weeks since the end of February, we see a little bit of an uptick, right, on the short chart. If we're looking at longs, we definitely see a decrease since mid-February, end of February, a decrease in the longs. So the big question here is that trend for longs and shorts going to continue right now? And that's just something we have to keep our eyes on as we start observing Bitcoin and this ascending triangle that we have right now. So opening up Bitcoin on the weekly, it's hit or miss, right? And I want to just throw this out there. Our targets to the upside and targets to the downside, whichever way we break, they're pretty extreme, right? They're nice moves. So for the upside, Litecoin or Bitcoin from where it's at right now, around 3,800, target to the upside is 30% upside. Target to the downside right now, if we break through the bottom of the triangle, at least 18% to the downside to retest the $3,000 area. So let's kind of go to the daily chart and kind of dig into what's going on in those weekly charts. So DJH2211, come on peeps, lightly touch that like button. Yes, I love that comment. Very creative, and I agree. Hit that like button, everybody. So I'm not one to like beg for likes, but that was a good comment. So support at the 50 EMA. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's just what I've been watching. It's what I have my eye on. It's what we've been talking about on this channel forever. And it's just the number one, probably best indicator that we can look at. So not only do we have the longs, the shorts, those charts to look at in context to what's going on with this ascending triangle, but we also have the similarities extending to the 50 EMA now versus then when we got our break below, right? So this is kind of this can look a little bit bullish, and I just want to throw that out there before I start digging into this a little bit. So I'm going to take the daily chart. I'm going to try. Sometimes I try and rush through these videos, and I know I shouldn't, but I try to, and I think I don't explain things as well as I should, but let me slow down. This is the descending triangle back when Bitcoin was just, hovering above 6,000, and you saw what was happening with the shorts, right? They were piling in, right? But at the same time, many people were just saying $6,000 is the bottom. It's the bottom. Look at the support we've been getting, right? And we're talking, you can even extend this line just because many people were looking at this line going back to like February of last year to that $6,000 area. Let me move that up. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of people talking about Bitcoin, $6,000 the bottom, shorts piling in. And what else was happening? It's so important to take note of this. 50 EMA resistance, right? So Bitcoin kind of just like, and also take note where in the triangle. We're kind of approaching that apex of the triangle right here, the end of the triangle, that last 25% of the triangle. Not only that, but Bitcoin kind of seeing heavy resistance right in the middle, slicing that triangle. And what's it seeing resistance at? It's seeing resistance at the 50 EMA. The story of Bitcoin and the 50 EMA are incredibly relevant. And historically, they're relevant. And in the present, it's extremely important to watch these things. So Bitcoin seeing resistance at the 50 EMA, shorts piling in, boom, right? We broke through the $6,000 support area that so many people were thinking was the bottom. So take that. Now let's look at the inverse pattern, the ascending bullish triangle that Bitcoin is in right now. We're not quite at the 25% to the apex right just yet. We're approaching it. And right now, I just think it's a really interesting time for Bitcoin simply because Bitcoin is also similar to that last triangle, the descending triangle. And let me see if I can get both of these kind of on the screen. So last time, Bitcoin seeing resistance at this 50 EMA, right in the middle of the triangle, and then we dropped. This time, Bitcoin seeing support, at least, for the last, we can even see right now, February 24th. Now, you might be saying, all right, February 24th to March 12th, that's like a few weeks, almost, right? It's like almost 3 weeks, right? Is that almost 3 weeks? Yeah, it's almost 3 weeks. February 24th. This break above the 50 EMA for Bitcoin, February 18th, was extremely huge, very important for Bitcoin, right? But maybe even more importantly, after just a year of rejection at the 50 EMA and, short term going back to January and December rejection, but maybe even more importantly, what has happened since that break above the 50 EMA is we've come back down, we've touched the 50 EMA, and for almost 3 weeks, we've actually have seen support at the 50 EMA. That is extremely important and kind of bullish, and it's something even before we broke above it in February, that 50 EMA, we talked about, well, when we finally do break above the 50 EMA, that whenever it happens, we talk about this on this channel all the time, what will be more important is to see what happens when we retrace back down to the 50 EMA. And so from here on out, since it retraced back down, Bitcoin has really seen support there. So is that to say, well, since it's the inverse of that descending triangle and Bitcoin was seeing resistance at the 50 EMA and broke down, is that to say, well, we're seeing support here at the 50 EMA? Does that mean we're going to break up? It's not exactly what I'm saying. However, I'm saying technically the charts are lining up kind of bullishly in terms of that support above the 50 EMA. And I just want to throw that out there. I don't know why my sound is not working on my computer. But I just saw the Liquid Canvas $5 Super Chats. On-chain transactions growing every day. Litecoin, Rightcoin, keep on trucking. Thank you, Liquid Canvas. On-chain transactions growing every day. It's true, the networks are growing. And yes, Litecoin is the right coin. I 100% agree. Steven Herzog is here. What's up, Steven? Hodl Fuel is here. Tech Lords, what's up, everybody? It's awesome to see everybody. Seth Shepard, Aaron James. Appreciate you guys cruising by. So, continuing on, Bitcoin. That is support above the 50 EMA. Just for reference, I'm kind of curious. I didn't actually do this before I set up this live stream, but when we started seeing resistance at the 50 EMA and that descending triangle, we're talking about resistance for like 50 to 60 days, right? Fighting with that 50 EMA. So how many days in actually are we? Back to when we saw our first supports this time around 19, 18. So I just want to throw that context out there. This is so often a game of patience. Every time we want Bitcoin to do something or Litecoin to do something, so often our patience is tested, and we kind of need to chill out a little bit and just watch. And that's why I started off this live stream. I was just like, I'm a hawk right now. I'm watching. I'm not necessarily accumulating at all really right now. The last couple weeks, I haven't been that much, and that is simply because I'm waiting. Because there could be great opportunity if this 50 EMA does not hold support. And it's a possibility. There are so many YouTubers that want to say or predict what's going to happen. Not here to do that. If you're looking for a YouTuber like that, you're probably not going to like me. That's not what I do. So pivoting over, want to just point out this RSI in the daily chart real quick. It's crazy to see if you look at, and I can kind of, I'm not going to zoom all the way back there. It's crazy to see the upward momentum in this ascending triangle, right? These higher lows, right? So far, higher low right around here, in synergy with the RSI. So it's a question of momentum right now. Bitcoin around 54, 55 on the RSI, ton of room for upside. And so the question is, are the bulls going to turn this thing around? If you look at the long charts, right? So that would be the scenario that kind of ties it all together and plays into the ascending triangle. And that RSI momentum is to say, well, the last month, if you look at the long chart on the weekly, you can see longs are down, right? So now that they're down, the question is, are we going to have a bounce, right? And will that play into a similar look that we saw on the descending triangle back in November, breaking to the downside for the shorts, right? So 4 weeks down for the shorts. And then all of a sudden, boom, this is when we broke through $6,000. Shorts piling in. The question is, now we have an ascending triangle, 4 weeks for the longs. And then boom, are we going to have a break to the upside through this ascending triangle, right? Could that happen? 100% yes, it could happen. Are you happy with your portfolio? I don't know. I guess when you put your head on the bed tonight, you can ask yourself that question. Am I happy? If Bitcoin breaks through the upper trend line of the ascending triangle, that's your decision to make. Nobody else's. So I saw a super chat come in, and it's not working. Whoever just sent me a super chat, I very much appreciate it, but for whatever reason, I can't even find what the super chat was. And I very much apologize. Tech Lord, if you could kind of let me know. So, I don't know why that's not working. All right, so Confuse sent 1550 in LTC. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that super chat, and I very much apologize that my Streamlabs isn't working very much. And then Rick Costa with a $2 super chat. Rick, thank you. Smash that like button, guys. I agree with Rick. And Rick, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all you do. I see you out there. I see you. God bless you, man. I'm really annoyed that I can't see that super chat that came in. Darn it. Okay, so going over, well, before I go over 4 hour, I just want to just touch on that just one last time. The 50 EMA support, just keep an eye on it. Watch it. Watch the BTC USD long chart. Keep an eye on it because it's going to tell the story of what happens next. And if we get that upward momentum that so many people want. So we have to kind of be patient and wait to see what happens. All right, so moving on even deeper into this technical analysis, the 4 hour chart on Bitcoin. So, and I won't spend too much time on this. However, I think it's relevant and it ties into everything we literally just talked about. So while we're having this support above the 50 EMA, we're also having this support above the 200 EMA, this pink line on the 4 hour chart. And if you want to look short term on Bitcoin, if you want to watch short term, I encourage you can watch this chart, the 4 hour chart. It's kind of what I watch on the short term, and I'm watching really that 200 EMA. That's like that first line of support I'm watching for. It's not very far away. It's around $3,780 Bitcoin. And I think it's very important to watch that area if you're curious on the shorter term. If you're pulling up the charts during the day, it paints a picture. And here's why. Because if we get continued support at that 200 EMA on the 4 hour, it's gonna also basically mean we're getting support at the 50 EMA. But if you go back and you look at Bitcoin in that same market, where we just had huge downside, right? What was Bitcoin doing on the 4 hour? It was failing to see any type of support above the 200 EMA, right? So you'll notice Bitcoin even fell below, or went above the 200 EMA and came right back down through it, right? There was never any support. And that's, on the short term, one of the first signs of a weakening Bitcoin. So I think if you are watching the 4 hour, definitely look for similarities in a bullish way. Meaning, if Bitcoin goes below the 200, is it seeing resistance on the way back up, right? Or is it just breaking back above the 200? That would be the inverse of what Bitcoin did in a bearish move last time, and that would be a bullish move for Bitcoin this time. So even if Bitcoin comes down and trades below the 4 hour, if it's not closing below the 4 hour for that long and actually goes back above the 200, that's that first sign of a bullish move for Bitcoin. And that's kind of when I start raising my eyebrow and I start believing that we might actually break this upper trend line around $4,100. So wanted to throw that out there, real quickly on the 4 hour chart. I thought it was relevant. And, really, that's kind of what I'm looking at on Bitcoin right now. I think there's a ton of things you can really watch in terms of Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, I'm waiting. I would not mind anticipating, more downside. It's, I'm here for the long term, right? So what that looks like for me goes well beyond this ascending triangle that you see on the chart. Benji Jojo, 0.25 Litecoin for your foundation. Dude, Benji, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yes, all super chats. I really like it. I really love that super chats now, they don't go to me. They go to our LAUNCHPAD foundation. I think it'll be fun at the end of the year to kind of tally up, at least through super chats, what the foundation raised. But all of you, I appreciate it very much, and it's definitely going to be fun. Look at this, 0.25 LTC from Poseidon Lou now. Dude, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year. I guarantee it. And I promise I will update the LAUNCHPAD Foundation website. I promise I will do it. I need to do it. Sarah, remind me to do that, please. So, yes, I'm anticipating downside. Let's pivot over to Litecoin, right? Since we just got some Litecoin. I said in a tweet, when was this? This was today. It is highly possible that Litecoin falls back into $30 to $40 range. This would prove to me to be an epic area of accumulating Litecoin. It would be the $3 to $4 of 2015 to 2016. So I posted a chart based on a long-term Fibonacci retracement, right? This is the weekly chart for Litecoin. It was the swing low back in 2015 to swing high, and then Litecoin consolidated, and then the same thing today, swing low, to potentially, if this was the swing high for Litecoin, what could we anticipate for a Fibonacci retracement to that 618 to 786? I'm going to look at this on the charts right now, but let's look at it. And actually, somebody in the comments, and I'm not calling them out, but they said, what did they say? They said there's no way. Nick said there's no way. I don't know if Nick is here right now. I'm not calling him out. I'm not. It's completely cool that he thinks that, but I think we should really be careful not to say that, not to think that. I think that's the most dangerous thing. If you're watching price and you care about price of any cryptocurrency, I think the most dangerous thing that you could possibly ever say is there's no way this is going to happen. This is cryptocurrency, and literally all you have to do on the chart, and especially just go to a weekly chart, zoom out, and there's a way for everything to happen. And the charts do not lie about that. So heck yeah, $30 to $40 Litecoin, that is like, not only is there a way for that to happen, but it's like, we're inches from it happening. It could happen tomorrow, and it can happen very quickly. And I just want to say that. And I also want to say, none of this is financial advice. I'm not saying what will happen. You know I'm not saying what will happen. I'm all about what could happen and being prepared for that. But being prepared is not saying, there's no way, because there's definitely a way. So right now I have the 4-hour chart open. I think it helps paint a picture of Litecoin right now since swing low in December. And we just saw that swing low Fibonacci to swing high. We're not going to talk about it in this video. It's obviously a longer term Fibonacci retracement, and we have support before we even got to that area. Tech Lord said, bullish is my middle name. Tech Bullish Lords. Yeah, Tech Lords, I know you're bullish. I know you're bullish, dude. So swing low to swing high on the weekly, like this is what that looks like, right? So here's that $30 to $40 range that I tweeted about. Not really going to talk about that in this video, but I do want to talk about two other really important Fibonacci retracement areas that play into two important wedges. So let me close this one a little bit, right? And then let's close this one. So the first Fibonacci retracement is the white rising wedge that we see in Litecoin, right? This extends back to December. I love patterns, not only because it helps us in anticipating confirmations and moves, right? And helps us in buying dips. That's the main reason I like them. But I really like them because they just put structure onto the charts. And structure, I think, is really important. At least it's important to me. I'm not a numbers person. I have kind of an unorganized, disorganized mind, and I need kind of structure when it pertains to things like this. So that's one reason I really like patterns, because they give us illustration. They give us something to work with. And so, and they really don't fail us. Once a pattern is in play, we know for a fact that Litecoin is going to break through the upper trend line or the bottom trend line. It's going to happen. I highly doubt for the rest of Litecoin's existence, it's going to trade within this channel, right? So from then, we're only looking for confirmations to see what happens next. So the white rising wedge, right, that we see on the screen, the swing low back here in January, the last time we kind of really touched the bottom of this wedge, to even this most previous swing high is an area that I'm looking at. And if I draw this on the screen, let me take my rectangle. That's one area. That's a 618786 pullback. I want to just chart it on the screen. Now I want to go to this new wedge that Litecoin has gone into. It's kind of a mid-range, mid-time frame type of wedge, the orange wedge, bottom trend line, and we're still using the upper trend line of the larger rising wedge. This is kind of this new shorter term channel. But we take a Fibonacci from swing low right here back in March. This is like a week ago. This is a 4-hour chart to swing high. Again, resistance at the upper trend line. And we have the support here around $47 to $50, right? We've been talking about this for a few days now. And that is, in terms of Litecoin, it is my first area of support that I'm just waiting, I'm watching for. If I'm going to purchase some Litecoin, it would be in this area, right? And timing wise, it would have to retrace down to this area, and I'd want to see some consistent support in that vicinity, right? Right down here, going into that 200 EMA, confluent with this 618 to 786 retracement. That's me, that's my style. As much as I'm wondering what Litecoin's going to do next, I'm wondering too much. So I don't necessarily accumulate, when we're in areas like this on the charts. I just don't. I'm either accumulating or I'm waiting, right? So right here, I'm waiting. Right here, I'm waiting. And then accumulating, maybe here. I'm not saying I always bought every dip here. That's not true. I don't buy every single dip. But these are the areas where I'm way more keen to accumulate. Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever it is. So I will say, if we come back down to this area, $50 area, that would be a 10% plus move for Litecoin. I will most likely be accumulating a little. That's me. That's not financial advice. Do whatever you want to do. But this is just me. This is my approach. This is how I do it. But keep in mind, if I'm accumulating here, I'm accumulating with the knowledge of, okay, if this support fails me, even though I'm kind of confident in it at this point, right? If we see support there for a while, I still have in the back of my mind, well, it might fail me, and our next area of support is like $40, right? So if I am accumulating after, hypothetically, say this happens tomorrow, 12% to the downside, we're at $48, right? Tomorrow we're at $48, 12%. If I'm accumulating a little, I'm accumulating with the mindset of, okay, this might continue and we actually might be testing the bottom trend line of this wedge, and we'll be down another 14%, down to like 28% to the downside, right? And this is a way heavier accumulation area for me, that area down here. So I know a lot of the context of my videos is about like Litecoin going down and Bitcoin going down. And I know there's like YouTubers and videos out there that talk about upside all the time. And we do too. But I talk about the downside so much because I think it's my mind doing these videos, right? Like this is the way I think. So even when I'm not doing videos, I'm just looking at the charts. I'm just sitting here like, when's the next dip going to happen? That's just the way my mind operates. Because the dip is when usually I take action. I'm not somebody that sells to trade, right? So I'm not usually doing anything when we're seeing resistance areas. I'm kind of waiting. Am I going to enjoy like a nice ride here if we get a break to the upside? Because that'll be fun. That'll be a fun live stream. When I'm taking action is usually when we're falling, when it's a red day. And sometimes on red days, I'll do a video and I'm in kind of like an extra good mood. And that's because, I had the opportunity to accumulate. So that's just my approach to the market. So moving on, weekly on Litecoin, really just wanted to kind of end with this. I thought usually I start with the weekly on Litecoin, but man, if you look at the weekly on Litecoin, it's extremely interesting to watch. Let me see if I can expand. I think that should be a little bit better because it's extremely, similar. Right now, Litecoin is extremely similar to the last bear market, right? If you look at the charts, and I mean, even just if you're looking at the charts, it's similar. You had this area of support back in 2014, and keep in mind, we're talking about like a $3.50 Litecoin, But, this area of support back there before Litecoin just tanked down to like $1, and it was a big drop. And that's the bottom range of that bear market back then. But similarly, everybody remembers support at around $50, and that was harmonious with the $6,000 Bitcoin. And then what happened in November? We dropped, right? Swing low of like around $20, and it's so similar to that last bear market. So right now, what's really interesting to me is the fact that we've come all the way up from that swing low, similar to back here, and we've actually made it to the 50 EMA, right, on the weekly, similar to back there, and we're actually right below the 50 EMA on the weekly and above the 200 EMA on the weekly. Like we're in between this incredibly crucial area for Litecoin right now. I will say this, if you look at the charts, technically there's an extreme amount of room for Litecoin to continue in the consistency of its momentum, meaning, yes, we could get a very similar move to the upside that we saw back in June, the summer of 2015, back here. We broke above the 50 EMA like pretty strongly on the weekly chart. And just to give you an idea, because I'm curious, from that 50 EMA, we got that huge candle above to that crazy, ridiculous swing high. This is 193% gains within a couple weeks. It does happen that quick. So Litecoin, the question is it going to break through the 50 EMA on the weekly, similar to that time back then? I'm not saying we're going to get 190% gains in the market. That would be over $150 Litecoin. But certainly some type of swing high, if it happens on the weekly chart, we'll see a swing high. Now, at that time, if it happens leading into this halving that we have this summer, right here, the consistency of the charts would be almost scary. And I would just say be extremely careful because there's so much talk, and I get posts, I get tweets, I see tweets all the time about the halving, the Litecoin halving. It's like Litecoin's going to moon. And just want to throw this out there. Like Litecoin, it definitely saw some ridiculous gains prior to the halving, like a month. That was that swing high a month prior or so, right? But then what happened? We had like a pretty drastic consolidation, right, going into the halving. So maybe we do break above the 50 EMA. But after that happens, just, going into the halving, I don't know what's going to happen. But what could certainly play into the charts would be the Fibonacci retracements. So that's something that we would have to really just kind of evaluate. But we can even look at, what did the Fibonacci retracement look like from this swing low to that crazy swing high? I mean, as it always does, the Fibonacci channel, the 618 to 786 on the weekly, historically, like look how beautifully that played out, right? Litecoin obviously overextended to the upside. Like if you look at that wick, it's obvious. But where do we retrace to? Literally right to the 786. And we just stayed in the 618 to 786 channel for how many months, right? And there was that time of accumulation. And for us, that could really truly look like, a swing low that we just had, maybe to a swing high of, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there. Say this uptrend continues for Litecoin and we go to, $100, right? I'd be extremely ready for consolidation, similar to that last bear market, into this next phase of accumulation, right? This next phase of building up for actual bull market in the $40, $50 area. So this, in my mind, like I'm sitting back, I'm doing videos all the time, but I'm not doing videos every day simply because I think this is the day something crazy is going to happen. I'm doing videos every day so we can just continue building and being patient together, because this is the type of scenario I see more likely to play out. Could this bull run continue for Litecoin above the 50 EMA on the weekly? Heck yeah, but I'd very much be keen to see if we fall into a new consolidation channel, if we're there for months, if things get a little boring, but huge opportunity for growth. If we see upside and then downside, huge opportunity for accumulation, at least from my standpoint. So John Red says, hey gang, thanks John, appreciate the 199 super chat, appreciate you, thank you for coming by. I truly appreciate the super chat. So that's it. That's Litecoin on the weekly. But yeah, I mean, you can even look, if you look at the bottom of the screen, yeah, you can see it. I just want to make sure you can see it. Like, Litecoin obviously uptick in volume when it hit that swing high, but after we consolidated, just look at the volume down here for that time period before Litecoin started really mooning. Really low volume. Could things be different this time around because there's maybe more things happening within cryptocurrency? Yeah, I mean, things are new these days. However, the volatility, I think, is something that will remain consistent. So while I'm always doing TA videos, I'm pretty much at the end of the day, like I started this live stream saying, I'm just a hawk in the trees. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the dip. I want to be ready to buy the dip. And I think that would serve us well. Like a little bit of patience, waiting for downside, and kind of taking it from there, right? So really interesting things going on the charts. To wrap it all up, Bitcoin long chart, Bitcoin short chart, watch it. I think it's extremely relevant in terms of the two triangles you see on the screen. Number one, the descending triangle that we fell through, and number two, the ascending triangle that we might be prepping to break to the upside. So the question is, what are the longs going to do? What are the bulls going to do? Are they going to step in at this time, similar how the shorts stepped in right here in November? This rise in the shorts as Bitcoin just broke right below the 6,000 and boom, right down to 3,000. Are we going to see the longs? Are we going to see the bulls right now do the same thing so we get a confirmation in this bullish triangle this time around above $4,100 and the markets just kind of cruise into that bullish direction? So we will see. Time will tell. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me on this Tuesday night. I haven't done a live stream at night in a while. I like it. And I really appreciate everybody chilling and relaxing. Steven Herzog. Dan, you coming up March 23rd for Monica's. Let me know going to be a blast. A bunch of us going. So Rob just messaged me earlier, Steven, and I told him I'm going to talk to Sarah about it. I really want to try. We've been so busy. Like, I know I say that and it probably sounds so stupid, but it's been nonstop, everybody. I've been nonstop. And I'm going to definitely try though. So I would love to be there. I did mention I'm going to have, I want to start working on like an East Coast meetup that I would like to host. I want to put something together, a place where we can all go and just chill and meet up. So I definitely want to talk to you guys about that as well. But I'll do my best to get there to Monica's. But I appreciate you guys so much. I love chilling with you guys too. Steven, I haven't even met you yet. That's pretty ridiculous. But can't wait to meet you. Everybody, you all rock. I appreciate you. Look, this is how tired I am. I have to sit down for these live streams lately. I'm just like, man, I'm so lazy. Dominic LTC, let's make it happen, Dan. East Coast Unite. I love it. Heck yeah. Dude, you bring the food. Dom, you bring the food. We're good to go. That's all I know. All right, I gotta bounce, go relax a little bit. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. If you're here right now and you're just lounging around and you're not a subscriber yet, hit the subscribe button. I really would love to have you support the channel. I'm really shilling it right now because I'm so close to 20,000, and like this 19,000, 20,000 subscribers, it just slowed down. Like, it is tough to get to that level. I think YouTube's purposely making it hard for me. But everybody, yo, subscribe, hit the like button. You know I love it. I appreciate all of you so much. Be careful out there. Don't listen to YouTubers. Do your own due diligence. Have a little patience. It's gonna get fun. It really is. I hope you all have an amazing rest of the night. I will see you in the next video. And God bless.